We've got our trusty phone because I wasn't in any way, shape, or form going to trust myself to remember a few of these individuals' names. So I'm going to try and say a few names here without butchering them in any way, shape, or form. Number one, my wife. uh, oh boy, this is really, really hard. Like the last name I feel is really, really easy, Farahani. But then the first name is Gol. I don't want to butcher this. Golshifta? I'm going to say Golshifta. Golshifta Farahani. Listen to me. Listen to me. Netflix needs to give you a spinoff. Like, I know you're coming back for Extraction 3, but Hollywood in general needs to give you, like, more roles and more movies because you kick ass. Like, what I say stand out in the first Extraction movie, when you sat down, you were watching Chris Hemsworth just basically run around and dispatch just everyone who got in his way. He was essentially Doom Guy. In this movie, yes, Chris Hemsworth is still running around bodying fools left and right. But oh my god, when Miss Farahani is on my TV screen and she is throwing down, I mean, she is delivering haymakers. She is throwing her body into this work. She is getting her ass beat and she is handing out ass beatings. When that is going down, I was like, Extraction 2 could be completely about her character. Her relationship with her brother, and her brother's played by, oh boy, another really, last name's always easy, Jaiswal. First name's always difficult. Rudhrosk. I'm gonna say Rudhosk Jaiswal. When those two are on screen, love it. The sibling connection between the both of them. I just need. You remember when you went to go see Bullet Train, and the best part of Bullet Train was Lemon and Tangerine. That is basically what's happening here, where you see both of these characters, and you're like, yo, like, I want more from y'all. Like, yes, Chris Hemsworth is going to run around and do his own thing, but to be quite honest, I want a backstory about like how y'all got into this entire business, the relationship between the brother and sister. I was invested in both of these characters as the movie progressed. And oh my god, if it wasn't pulling at my heartstrings, I feel as though there is a moment in like the last 30 minutes. When it happens, I held my breath because I had to know whether or not this character survived. And I was like, oh, thank you God. they'll be back for the they'll be back for the third one. I believe this is Chris Hemsworth's best franchise. That's gonna be divisive for a few people. What about Thor? Listen to me. Listen to me. Our love of Thor comes from Thor Ragnarok and two movies that he's not the main star in: Infinity War and Endgame. Because let's be honest, the first Thor movie, it's easy, it's kind of weak. The second Thor movie, also kind of weak. Thor Love and Thunder, completely shit the bed. But Extraction has delivered back to back. It's given us two extremely solid movies. The action is always there. The tension is always there. There's always some level of an emotional connection between my man, Rake, Chris Hemsworth's character, and any of the people that he encounters in order to complete his mission. It is always dope as hell. However, there are a few things in this movie that I can honestly say aren't as good as the first movie. Number one, there are way too many just long shots, just long cuts. I feel as though we've entered an era that ever since Daredevil did the hallway scene and it did one take, every single action director is like, we need to do longer takes because the fans like them. Yes, we do. However, there are some times when you don't need to do a long take, that you can honestly do a jump cut. Do I appreciate seeing the motion of the character as like when Chris Hemsworth's character walks into a room and he picks up the saw and he starts climbing up the ladder and then you see him gun down the airship, then the airship crashes into the thing and there are explosions and he gets blown back. lands on the thing, his character ragdolls to the bottom, and then it comes back up through the top of the hole the explosion caused, and we see what the next group of people are doing. That's dope. But there are a lot of scenes that don't require, in my opinion, just long establishing shots. You don't need long takes for everything. There are ways to do smart cuts, because I feel as though this movie's a little bit too long. I would probably trim 15, 30 minutes, somewhere in that net ballpark. Get rid of some of like the excess scenes that you really don't need, to focus more on the characters and the story that you're essentially trying to tell. But other than that, this is fantastic. This was the movie that I needed after The Flash, because I sat down and I watched this entire thing and I had an absolute ball. Didn't check my watch, didn't get up and move, didn't even go get a drink, because I was completely invested. Even for like the long shots, I was just like, yeah, I don't care about what's happening with this guy, because in my opinion, this guy is the weakest link. And I will definitely have to say that the villain in this is essentially the weakest link. Like, he's established as the big bad, but I don't think I cared about him as much as the villain from the first one. Even though he does something that pisses me off that I wanted him to die, I didn't care about him as much as the main villain in the first one. There also isn't a random element that was kind of thrown in like the first movie. Like in the first movie, you had the big bad villain drug dealer, but then you also had like the little kids that were also trying to become drug dealers, who were basically mucking up his plans by just being like this rogue element. But then you also had the other rogue element with the former cartel guy, who was designated to protect this kid, and he's going back into his old ways in his story as well. I feel like the brother sister duo filled in that role, which was good, but there wasn't a third rogue element that was gunning for the group, that was kind of causing chaos along the way. It's basically essentially the main villain bad guy throughout the entire thing, watching his plans just get blown up with smaws, saws, RPGs, shotguns, knives, and grenade launchers. But I enjoyed this movie. I enjoyed this movie thoroughly. If we were doing the grading system, this would be, in my opinion, a B plus. Maybe even crawling its not gonna crawl its way into A minus. Definitely a B plus. Like I said, it runs a little bit too long. Like, chop off that 15, 30 minutes. Pare it down just a little bit. Give me a little bit more backstory about the brother and sister. Like focus on them a little bit more, while cutting out a lot of the excess shit that you don't really care about from like the villains. And this would be a perfect like 2-hour sit down with your friends, get on Discord, invite some people over, kick back, turn on the surround sound, drink some beers, and just have a blast. That's the type of movie this is. This, in my opinion, is like Chris Hemsworth's best franchise outside of Thor. Like as you can see, like I'm a gigantic Thor fan. I'll talk like a bunch of shit about Thor, because that's just the way in which I am. We talk a bunch of shit on this channel. But yeah, go ahead and check out Extraction. It is currently on Netflix. It is most certainly a good time. I'm gonna quote Jeremy Johns again. No alcohol required. No. But alcohol will definitely make it way more fun. That might be like a good Friday night like thing. Get the peoples together and like, I'll catch you next one. Peace.